Hey everyone, it's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into a couple things. I wanted to go into tomorrow's games and just assess each team's narrative for the finals. I think that would be a cool thing to do. Obviously, I've been hammering the Sixers narrative all year long, and by virtue, I had the Clippers in the preseason going, but I haven't really gone over the narratives now that we've been in the playoffs, and I went over the Suns and Warriors going against each other, which I still believe will happen. And, the Mavericks-Lakers, I had both not making the playoffs, so that was an interesting one. The Lakers did get in. But I wanted to go over narratives. We can recap today. If you watched my last two videos, then you basically know. Today we did really well. We were over the target, and to me, it's more important to be over the target than to win always. It's great to win. We went 2-0. So to me, what stuck out is if you look at Saturday, you have two just blowouts, right? And I just didn't think they were going to repeat that. And I'm not saying that's exactly why it happened, but to me, that makes it a lot easier to narrow it down. Now we know it's probably going to be at least one close game. Instead, we got two close games. Suns really wasn't close. If you watch the game, it was just insane, but it was close. But you can also see what they did. They set up kind of what I expected with the Sixers. Harden had the school shooting victim at the game, of course, and they were. You can tell right after they waved off Smart's bucket, they were immediately hurting Harden towards this fan. They had it set up. So for them to be acting that quickly, they had to know he was going to win. If they lost, it just wouldn't have made sense. I guess he could have still ran over in a losing effort, but they had the post-game conference lined up. He had his speech ready to go. To me, this is the biggest example of just scripting, And again, I'll gladly take it. It went our way. But this is why I compare it to wrestling. When they do things like this, it's just so ridiculous. If you watch the game, they also, and let's go into the narrative, the first one, since it's the one I've been going into, Doc Rivers. The reason I believe they're going to win the finals is I think he's beloved among the players and the league. I think he's done his job for a very long time. And the whole, mantra around, not mantra, but stigma, better for, lack of a better term, around Doc. And it's not really a stigma. It's been proven true, but his shtick is he can't get it done. He can't close out games. He needs to rely on super performances like we got from James Harden. As you can see, they had an abysmal fourth quarter, and they sold the fourth quarter and almost blew it. They kept zooming in on Doc. It was also interesting in my Discord, people were bringing up how they were zooming in on the other Doc. So, funny they're showing both Docs, right? And you got one that used to coach for Boston. It just shows how full circle this comes. But of course, Harden comes in. He's the hero. Yeah, when he needed to, Horford would just channeled his inner Hakeem, I guess. It was fun to watch. Just threes couldn't miss. The players weren't even lining up the shots. They were just heaving them, and most of them were falling. And yeah, the Sixers, a couple convenient turnovers, a couple fouls that didn't go their way, and now we're in overtime. So, again, this was a break-even game and money line anyway, but you can just see maybe they needed the over to hit. But no, I think this one was going to be overtime from the beginning. And again, it's planting those seeds. Oh, man, if Doc can barely win this game at home when they were up with a super performance, and really because of a tenth of a second is why they lost, or why they won, people aren't going to have too much faith in Doc. So, I really could see him going down 3-2 and then actually coming back and winning. Or in the next round, whatever the case may be. So that's my narrative for the Sixers. I think Doc is going to prove the doubters wrong and consistently either come back in games or look like he's going to blow a game, but he'll get it done. And then for the Celtics, they have narratives. Let's go over their narratives. A repeat, right, in the year Bill Russell died. He kind of died in the offseason, so his death is right in between both theoretical appearances. To me, that's interesting. And I do think they match up better with the Lakers. I really think that matchup would be very interesting if the Lakers go, or even if the Suns go. I think Suns-Celtics is a little more entertaining than Suns-Sixers, although with the Sixers you do have some interesting matchups. You got Harden versus Durant, and you have Doc versus Paul. just Celtics, the way they play, I think might be a little more fun for people. But again, I'm not seeing a ton of narratives outside of Bill, and that's what everyone keeps bringing up to me is Bill. And I use symbolism, but if it's all I got, and really that's all I got so far with the Celtics, there's going to be public money on them. So, yeah, I could see it, but I just don't love that narrative. Let's move to the Nuggets. I see no narrative. I think that the seeds that are being planted, they did this last year and the year before. You can have an MVP that averages a triple-double, and he can even do no wrong in the game. But because of the pace of the game, and when you're being out-dueled by, 4 or 5 players that are just going insane, and you're kind of, even though you're doing it all, you're playing at a slower pace and a different pace. Luka kind of gets this rap. It might come down to, hey, is Joker, is he enough? Is he the guy? They'll probably talk about getting them another superstar, saying how Joker's doing it all himself. But they like to do this, I noticed, with centers a lot. They did it with Dwight Howard. They'll just have really good performances. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to fall short in 7 games. He's going to do really good. But that's going to be the narrative. So the Nuggets narrative, the only narrative I see is a losing one. The only benefit to them winning would obviously be they have to have the least amount of public money right now. Maybe outside of the Knicks and the Heat. In the West, I think, as good as they did, I don't see more people picking the Nuggets than these other teams. So maybe once the Suns went down 2-0, which is why I told people to get on the Suns at that point. But even like now, I just don't see the Nuggets being a team. So yeah, to screw the public, the Nuggets. But again, I don't see a narrative. I don't see a draw. And then we move to the Suns. Now, the Suns, I do see a very nice draw. No matter who they play, it's a nice draw because you got Chris Paul, who at the end of last year said, we'll be back. And people kind of laughed it off. They were like, yeah, right, it's not going to happen. You're older. You're going to be worse. And sure enough, he's injured. They're playing well. It just seems like it's setting up for Chris Paul to return probably late in this series. Maybe even in the Warriors series. And in that series, he really shines and gets to the finals. That's at least what I think is going to happen now that the Clippers are out especially. And then we go into, obviously, we got 4 more teams. So, of those 4, the Sixers are really the only one that I see with a nice draw, and the Suns. I don't see it with the Nuggets. The Celtics, sure, it could happen. I don't believe in it as much as the Sixers. Now, moving on to these teams. Knicks. I think the Knicks are kind of like the Nuggets of the East. To me, it makes no sense for them to, outside of screwing the public. And I could see a lot of people, and don't forget, a lot of Knicks fans, and they're good. If you're someone that wants to make a lot of money, they got those kind of odds all year. Nuggets were kind of getting those in-between odds that nobody likes, whereas Knicks were getting those outside odds, 20 plus, 20 to 1 and greater. So, I'm not sure where they're at now. But even still, I don't see much. They got Brunson. They're a rebuilding team, and I just don't see any of them having earned the right to win a championship. Furthermore, as long as they have Derrick Rose, they probably won't. If you haven't noticed, they gave him, before the Kyrie treatment, you had Derrick Rose, who I watched this guy's channel. His name was Jamal Rashad. All of his NBA stuff got taken down. But he essentially went into how very, very few players were actually not part of this blood doctrine. And Rose was one of them. He was naturally that talented. They had no choice, kind of like Iverson. And when he wouldn't, play along, that's why these injuries happened. And he's basically never going to win. That's the reason I just don't see the Knicks doing it. But I think they'll prove to be competitive. Moving on to the Heat, for people that are saying Heat, I do think if it's not the Sixers, the Heat are going to be the team in the East, ahead of the Celtics. The reason I think so is, but the way their season started and then the way they bounced back, it's not that predictable. They started off good, then they kind of fizzled out, very inconsistent, but now they're getting it together. B, they're like the same team as last year, really, only better because Bam is just that much better, and they got Kevin Love now. So they have the right group, in my opinion. And then C, obviously, they fit my color scheme. They fit that red-white color scheme. The only ones left that fit that color scheme are the Sixers and the Heat. So I think the Heat would make sense if not the Sixers. They're definitely my backup. If the Sixers get bumped, I like the Heat. Losing PJ Tucker's big. I think, you need that guy on a championship team. That role player that does nothing, does everything while doing nothing. They're always on championship teams. It wasn't just Robert Horry. Every team has someone like that. So there's a lot of reasons the Heat, make sense to me. Also, not a lot of public, I think, will have them beating the Sixers or the Celtics. So there's a lot of reasons I like the Heat. I think they'll beat the Knicks in this series for sure. And we'll go into that game in 1 second. We got 2 more teams to cover. Warriors-Lakers. Now, as you people know, I have been very, very against the idea of the Lakers going to the finals. I just don't see it. A year removed from being terrible. And they just got it one a couple years ago. Bronny's going to debut in 2 years. I really genuinely think LeBron's not getting another belt, another MVP or anything until Bronny debuts. And obviously he probably won't get MVP ever again. But when Bronny debuts, I think they get the championship together, just like the Mysterio family. So as far as these two teams, while I do have, this is like kind of an outlier, while I do have the Warriors advancing just because they've been setting up Warriors Suns for way too long, I could see, the Lakers, if it's going to be a team like the Heat, I will concede that Lakers Heat makes much more sense than Warriors Heat. And I don't know if people would want to see Warriors again this time against a team that's not that good. As I said, I really believe this is last year was the Warriors send-off. That was literally my first video on my first channel that got ripped. I went into the numbers, specifically the 4 1s and 3s. With the Warriors. So it was interesting that it all lined up almost perfectly with Steph, to the point they shot 41.3% in the last game. It was insane. So I think they got their send-off. I don't think they're going to give Steph any more. And I don't think they're going to give LeBron any more just yet. So with these two teams, they both have narratives, obviously. The Warriors would be like, are they a dynasty? Can they do it again without Durant? Durant just went to the Suns, so there's no excuses for him. And for the Lakers, just because LeBron, it's LeBron. You don't need much more than that. But I do think whoever wins out of these two teams, and I think it'll be the Warriors, I think they get bumped by Phoenix. So, if that was a little long-winded, it was kind of quick, I thought. But, all over the place, it kind of has to be. I was trying to cover every team and just who I think makes the most sense, And I tried to, play devil's advocate, I guess, for each team that, like the Knicks, the Heat, just go into what draws that they bring. And again, Nuggets and Knicks, I can't find any draws. But for the Heat, I can find some. For the Lakers and Warriors, of course, we can. But I still like Suns, Sixers. It's the reason I picked them today. But going into tomorrow now, we got the Lakers, who obviously broke up our beautiful streak. So hopefully we can continue this new one, and the Lakers can help us. Knicks Heat. I like the Heat in this game for a simple reason. They ran through the Bucks. So that was a message, I think, to show people that they're not going to be a team to be taken lightly. And I think Jimmy's not playing. I could be wrong. Game time, it looks like. Okay. And this matchup predictor is a little odd. 66. I think they're mostly going off just the records. But anyway, the Heat winning this game makes sense to me because there's a lot of series right now. I think all of them are tied 2-2. So there's going to be some 3-1s, There's not going to be all 3-2, 4, and finishing 6. There's going to be a couple. So that being said, I think this one makes the most sense. While the Warriors falling behind 3-1 makes sense, knowing their history. They literally blew that lead, I think it was, right? It'd be interesting if they dropped 3-1 against the Lakers. It would make for some entertaining TV. I just think this one's going to be pretty open shut. I think the Heat are going to win, and I like them to cover. So, again, you can do with that what you will. But I think that they're going to continue to... You see how bad they are against the spread. This happens, they had a terrible season against the spread, and now in the postseason, they're just covering like every spread almost. So, yeah, I think it's another message they send. Probably send the Knicks home in 5, maybe in 6. They force one more game, but it's a very decisive game 6 for the Heat. And I think they look like a strong contender moving on into the conference championship. And then we have Warriors-Lakers, which I split so far because I got I don't think I did the first game in the series. I think I put my video out. I might have got it. If we missed it, if I got it, I'm 2-1. If not, I'm 1-1. Obviously, I missed the last one. I had the. Oh yeah, I must have done them all because I had the Lakers winning the first game in Golden State. Okay, yeah. So we had the Lakers winning in Golden State, but then we in Game 3 here, I did have the Warriors winning in Los Angeles, and they did not do it. So it's 2-1 here. So a chance to redeem myself, and I like the Warriors. I do. I know it seems kind of obvious, and like I said, the thought of them dropping 3-1 has really crossed my mind because it would just make sense. I think if that happened, they would run it to 7 games just because it'd be too entertaining not to, just to see if they could come back from 3-1. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to close it out in 6. I really do. I think they're just going to basically win the rest. I don't know why. I think this is, if you notice with the Lakers this year, all year they've been put in a position, and they've done it in their games, where it just looks like no one's going to stop them. And then for one reason or another, everything falls apart. So I think that the Warriors do win this game. Although I will say that prospect of them, if the Knicks win and every team is 2-2, it's going to make me not love my pick as much because then I'm going to be like, oh man, one of these teams has to go to 3-1. But I just think we get them both. I think the Heat cover, they go to 3-1, and I think the Warriors knot this up. And then we're going to have Lakers, Warriors knotted up, Sixers, Celtics knotted up, and the Suns, Nuggets knotted up. So some very, I think 3 of the 4 matchups, the 3 most entertaining are all going to be knotted up. So to me, it'll be interesting, but I think we're over the target so far, so I think it's going to continue that way. But yeah, I'm curious your guys' opinion. You certainly weren't shy last time, so if you think, nah, man, like Lakers are just, they're going to pull away, I got them again, let me know. Or if you think this time I'm right that this time the Warriors will get it done because the Lakers just got to win and more people might be on them, please let me know. Also, let me know with what you think of these teams, my assessment of them. If you think maybe I'm wrong on the Heat, you think the Knicks are going to be the wild card, or whoever it may be. And I know a lot of people are telling me it's going to be the Celtics again, not the Sixers, and it could be. I just, like I said, I went over the reasons. Outside of Bill Russell, I don't see a ton of reasons for the Celtics. I think the Sixers is just much more fresh. Let's not forget the other Philly teams have all gone to the championship. They're floating that around. And yeah, the Doc narrative to me is just a very interesting one. I don't think even any player has the amount of questions, surrounding them that Doc does, as a coach, just because he's done this dance like 15 times, and now he just happens to be going against his, the Celtics, who he was obviously a big part of their success. So to me, it's interesting, but I wanted to get tomorrow's games out there just in case. Tomorrow I'm going to be kind of busy, so I thought rather than 5 o'clock, I'm getting them out. People will have all day to get them. To the people that parlayed the last, several days outside of the 2 days ago, awesome job. I know a few people told me they parlayed these 2 tonight, which is good because they were both they both were even. They both finished exactly as even odds. So you got good odds on that parlay, and hopefully tomorrow we can do the same thing. As far as baseball, we did good. I didn't really go into baseball too much. I had like 6 picks I went with a couple days ago, and then I explained whichever ones don't hit, I'm just going to double up today. So all 6 missed. So today I doubled up and we hit 4 of the 6. So 2 of them will be heading to a leg 3, and that is, I believe it's the Guardians to go over because they still haven't, and the Red Sox to go under. I could be wrong. I'll have to check it. But we got the rest. The Marlins came through for us. The Yankees went over. So, again, that's a separate video. I don't like getting everything too conflated. I just kind of wanted to go over that for the people that are following the baseball. That's what I'm playing. I'm just finishing out those sequences, and we'll start some new ones. I think there's a new series starting too. So, as far as hockey, nothing's changed. We got some teams that are red and white left. Hurricanes, Devils, so I think one of them probably does it. And for the NBA, I think it's going to continue to be entertaining. I think a lot of people's eyes are opened after what we just witnessed with this game here. Again, we had everything in this game. I told someone else we had PJ doing PJ things. We had Harden, the superhero. Joel Embiid playing like a freak and then playing terrible. Tatum can't be stopped when he gets it going. And then Smart with a not-so-smart play at the end to lose the game. And, Horford just looking insane. And I think PJ Tucker's going to be that guy. If you saw him guarding Tatum, he did a good job. I mean, if you consider limiting him to 24 points, 9 out of 20. So that's what I think they want to push, that the Sixers have a little bit more grit. They have a little more versatility, and they can just play these long series. And I think it's going to redeem Doc. So they're probably still underdogs, as are the Suns. So like I said before, taking the series odds would definitely be good in my opinion. At the very least, you give yourself hedge value. So anyone that took the Suns, when they were down 2-0 as to win the series, they could hedge right now and probably make a profit. But I would stick with it. I think they're going to get it done. So again, thank you to everyone that's always being supportive, positive. Even the people that disagree with me, 99% are polite and they just give me their honest opinion, which I always respect. I'd much rather somebody say, hey, keep this in mind, versus just agreeing, because it's always good to get different takes. So yeah, we've been doing really good. Anyone that's been tailing, congratulations. Take care and happy earnings.